Well, I have the Abarth salvage car here, and you can see it's on a cart, and it's been designed that I can swing the hoist in here and get it off the cart, but then still get the car out of here now that the suspension's gone and the tires have been sold. Just to take a look here, I'm just about ready to drop the engine. There's a lot of stuff that's in the front here. It's amazing how much is packed into the front of this car between the intercooler, the condenser for the air conditioner and the radiator, and then these intercooler piping, which is this here is the return. This one is a pressure line going down, and of course it breaks into the two intercoolers. So apart from that, the ECU's been removed, and this is the engine side of it. This goes back into the body control module and the other electrics within the car. So all that's required now is to release this bolt here and these three bolts here, and I could drop the engine out. And I have a custom built stand that's going to pin up into this. So the next step will be to put the car on the hoist and put the engine stand underneath it, release those bolts, and then just lift the car body off of it, and that will free the engine up, and away I go. Now, if anybody wants to try to do this, I would always recommend that you try to get it from a complete car, or from a car that you know that it was running, so that all your electronics are intact and are going to work. So just a word of warning here: if you just buy an engine off a shelf and you buy some modules off the shelf, don't expect it to work. Okay. This here is the engine stand, and as you can see, it's on little casters. I can move it in any direction I need, and it's got pins on the top of it, which actually pin into the oil pan, and it just sets down on it, and it works very well. And when you're going to do a swap like this, you realize that when I did the initial one, I had, between the test body and the original car, the engine went in and out 27 times before I got it right. So of course you can use an engine hoist and try to lift it out. That's up to you, but there's a lot of aggravation doing it that way. Okay, well, I've started moving the engine down. You can see I released the bolts here. That's from the one mount. The other one's got a very big bolt. That's all it is, right through the center. It's released. Of course, you always forget something, and that was the flex line from the clutch master cylinder. I forgot to disconnect it. Just to show you, it's everything on this vehicle is designed with snap-in connections, probably to just make it faster in the factory when they do assembly. But it's just a matter now of lifting the car off a little farther. Unfortunately, I'm the hoist man and the motor man and the cameraman, so I have to keep putting the camera down and doing a little bit. So almost got the motor out, but something's hanging up on it. I'm trying to figure it out, and of course it happens to be the ground strap buried way in there. So I've just got to take that off, and that should be it. The motor's clear, and now I've got on this little cart here, and I'll do a little bit of a close of that in a minute, and that gives me the availability to work around the engine. It's not hanging from a chain or anything else. It's sitting as if it would be on its own, independent of anything. So almost there. This is what the engine compartment looks like on a Fiat Abarth with the engine out. As you can see, the heater connection for the hot water heater, it uses these snap-on connectors, and they go into here. And what I had to do, I had to make up a little tool like this to compress these little barbs, which hopefully you can see there. And once you compress them, you have to turn it a little bit so that the barbs get tucked into the fitting, and then you can pull it back and release it. Apart from that, we got it all out. Lord help you if you'd ever have to change that brake booster. I think you got to pull the engine out to get at it, because there's just no way you're going to be able to pull it in there. People complain about working on an X19 as being tight. Man, I think this is a lot worse. You just got to take so much of the front of the car apart to get at anything. But it's going to come along, and in a minute I'll lift this car up, and I'll give you a shot of this engine all the way around, a 360 view as it comes actually out of a completed car, and it hasn't been molested at all. There's the engine sitting on the shop floor on the cart, and as you can see here, there is a hole for that pin to go in, and on the other side of the car as well. Our engine goes right into the cast iron block or on the pan. No, that's on the block. This works out really well. I can move it around, and there's a couple of modifications I have to do to the engine before it goes into an X19, and I will get that sorted out. One of them will be the engine mount on this side has to be done, so that's coming up. I'll have to machine it out, and some of the turbocharger has to have a little bit of work done to it to fit up against the firewall in an X19. So anyways, always an interesting project, and we'll document some of this and give people a bit of an idea of what's going on.